Welcome back. We're getting towards the end of the engine rebuild. My big learning thing with the Vespa engine was the air leak down test, so that's what I'm going to try and do now with the Lambretta engine. Now, as far as I understand it, where the seals are, I don't actually need the cases together on this, so I'm going to do this without the side case on, which if there is a problem it might allow me to spot it and sort it without having to take the engine apart again. So here's my thinking. This is the carburetor port. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit the gasket and I'm going to fit the manifold for the carburetor, which I can then seal, put some bicycle in the tube across it, seal that off with a Jubilee clip. This side is the exhaust port. So what I'm going to do with this one is cut a piece of inner tube to put over there. I've got an older, slightly the wrong size, sort of, I don't know, is it a brass gasket? I'm not sure what it is. That's going to go over, and then I'm actually going to seal it completely with the actual kind of exhaust manifold, the first part of the exhaust. So I'm not actually sealing at this end, I'm actually sealing it across the port itself, so I can test the engine, and then when I come to mount the exhaust properly I'll do it with some sealant which should seal all that up. When all that is done, I'm then going to put on, screw in to the spark plug hole, a spark plug, an old one which has now got a bicycle inner tube valve on it. I can then pump it up to pressure with my blood pressure machine, and then we're going to see how well it does. Looking at around about £5 per square inch. Don't want to be losing more than £1 per square inch in about a minute. So I think we're just going to have to do it, and then we'll worry about what happens if it all goes pear-shaped. Okay, so the exhaust port theoretically is sealed with a rubber, bit of inner tube rubber. The carb port, the manifold is in place, so I need to seal the top end of this, some more rubber, put a Jubilee clip around it, hopefully that's then sealed, and then I can try pumping some air in. I've no idea whether these little creases in the tubing are going to leak or not. I'll have to just try it. That might be a weak point, I'll have to rethink that. Okay, so I'm not convinced at all that I've got this airtight just in my equipment, so when I pump it up it's leaking straight away. So I've had a change of heart. What I'm going to do is seal the carb port in the same way that I've sealed the exhaust port. So I've made another quick rubber seal, which pop on over there. Well, I've got the system thrown together, and when I pump it up, it's definitely losing pressure. So I now need to work out whether it's losing pressure because of my system, i.e. somewhere in what I'm holding, or at the spark plug, exhaust or carb manifold, or is it some part of the engine that is actually got the leak and losing pressure. So we need to do some investigating now. So first point is around the spark plug. I'm squirting on some foamy water and there's nothing leaking there. Okay, so that's one thing ticked off. So I've put some water around the carb port. I can't see any foaming, and I've put some around the exhaust port. And again, I can't see any obvious foaming. So now I've got to try things like the head bolts, the seal between the cylinder and the head, base gasket around the mag housing, seals on the crank, and we'll see where that takes us. Okay, so I've been all around everywhere, couldn't find anything, retested loads of bits with foamy water, and then at the last minute I think I might have found what it is. I don't know if this will show up on camera, but in the middle of that hole in the mag housing you can see there's a tiny indentation or a slight flaw in the casting, and that's where the only spot where I had some bubbles. So unfortunately that probably means I need to take the mag housing off, even though it's positioned quite nicely. Mag housing's got to come off, and I need to see how it can either be repaired or sealed or whatever, I'm not sure. But at least in a way it makes me feel a bit better in the fact that everything I've built is actually airtight, and it's a flaw in the casting of that mag housing. So next job, let's get the mag housing off and let's see where we go from there. So mag housing came out quite easily. Good job I greased it all up. I'm probably going to have to get a new seal for it, but that's fine. I've started, unfortunately, where it looks, the weakness is there, which is the other side of there. So all I can think of is somehow air is leaking through this weakness from inside here going across. I can't see anywhere else where it's going through. There's no other holes that it can be. So unfortunately that means I need to take that bearing out. So I'm going to have to heat up all the way around the outside of here, and according to Sticky's manual, turn it upside down and a good tap on there should drop the bearing out, which means I can reuse the bearing. So we're going to try and get that done next. Well, surprisingly that worked really well. Quick heat around, tap it upside down, and yes, before you ask, I did forget to put the camera on, so I haven't got it on film, but that was really straightforward. Still got oil sealing there, so what I now need to do is have a look and see if we can find out where the air is leaking through. Right, so after a load more investigating, I think we have an idea. So that's inside the mag housing you can see that there's a flaw there, and that's where the air was coming from. And then if I go inside, I couldn't see anything that would cause that. I was really struggling. And ahhing for half an hour, really testing, and then I noticed, I hope this comes out on camera, can you see there's a small pin, that's better, there's a small pinhole there, and that's the face that faces the crank, and there's a flaw that goes from that little pinhole there through that flaw there and out, and that is where I'm leaking air. So, bit of a hold up. At least I've identified it. It's not anything I've done wrong, so that makes me feel a smidge better. So what I'm going to have to do, it's a Sunday today, so I'm going to ping an email to the company where I bought this from. They've always been really good in the past, so I'm hoping I can get this sorted and get a replacement mag housing without a flaw, which I can then fit back again. I got all the stuff from that inside without damaging anything, so I can reuse all of that. Job's a good one, but we're on pause briefly, so we're going to have to leave it at that for this point, and I'll rejoin you when we're back in the game. Right, here we are a week or so later. I've got a replacement mag housing. It was sorted out, no problem at all, just returned the old one, postage all paid for me, so really good. So I can hopefully fit that without any problems, and we'll then try the leak down testing again. In the meantime, stuff that will show up in another video, I've been just tinkering around a bit with the frame, but you're gonna have to wait for proper updates on that one. But you know what, it looks a bit like a scooter at times, doesn't it? Yeah, so job now is to put all the bearings, everything back inside this, and then fit this new mag housing back into the engine, and then try the whole leak down test again. Okay, so that's the mag housing rebuilt, put back in place, torqued down correctly. I've got to leave it overnight to let the gaskets and the sealant all sort of embed in, and then tomorrow we'll try the leak down test again. Right, morning, we're back again next day. Hopefully the mag housing, gasket and everything is now sealed up, so time to do the leak down test again. I've left the carb inlet and the exhaust outlet sealed up as they were previously. One bit that's not so good is the way that the my kind of testing mechanism, when the spark plug goes in, I think previously there was a bit of a leak coming from around here, so I've got an O-ring which I'm going to pop on there, and with a bit of luck that's going to seal it enough for me to get a proper test result. Right, it's almost holding, but there's a tiny bit of a leak, which is actually, hopefully, look with this, I can just see there. So there's air coming out from where I'm screwing that the spark plug part in, so I need, if I can get that properly sealed, I'll then know whether there's any leaks elsewhere. I don't think that's going to be a significant one to stop the engine running, but it needs to be airtight there so I know whether any of the important bits are done. So I'm going to have a little, see if I can find a better way of sealing that off. Well, as you can see, I've been having lots of fun with lots of washers and making some of my own and cutting others up and not getting annoyed at all, but eventually I think we might have a system that is working. So in the end I actually got a grommet, so it was almost like two washers together, cut them in half, shaved off all the rough bits, so there's half a grommet under that, all tightened up. So according to Sticky's manual, I need to pump it up to about 200mm of mercury, and I'm not looking for perfect seal. I'm looking for around about no more than 50ml of mercury per minute to be lost. So we're going to head up to 200. Once it settles, looking at my watch, so that is now, let's say, 20 seconds to the hour, and as you can see that really seems to be holding well now. I don't know whether that's going to come out on camera okay, but it's really holding well. Almost no leak whatsoever. So we're kind of halfway through the minute now, and we've only lost 10 millimeters of mercury. So that's 40 seconds, and we've lost about 15. Probably the most interesting 1 minute on YouTube. So that's now 1 minute, and we've lost about 18mm of mercury. So that is a well sealed engine. Oh, I can't tell you how good that makes me feel. Yeah, so obviously at the moment I've got the I've got the carb completely sealed off, and that will have to be a gasket with a carb on it, and the same goes for the outlet manifold for the exhaust. At the moment it's completely sealed, and it will eventually be a gasket, but the important bit is that those seals in there are completely airtight. The base gasket is sealed, the head gasket is sealed, all of the studs are not leaking, there's no leaks in the engine casing. We have a successful leak down test. Yes, happy days.